So the meeting won't get cut? Okay, cool. All right, success. All right.
All right, welcome everyone joining on Facebook and YouTube. We are live chatting to Daniel Dvoress right now. You've Googled him, you'll know he's quite the crusher live and online, and recently adding to his CV a World Series bracelet. Daniel Dvoress, welcome, mate. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So it's been a crazy year for many, many reasons. Like I said, I was giving you a bit of a Google earlier, and something on the internet said you were Vegas averse, and then the WSOP goes online and you get your first bracelet. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I completely didn't expect that to happen. I mean, many Canadians are Vegas averse. I thought a WSOP bracelet might happen eventually. And then once I knew that it was happening online, I was like, okay, well, I have a chance, but I figured that if it were to happen, it would be in a smaller field high roller event,
Mhm.
and not in something with like 6,000 players.
Yeah, the milli maker, no less. But yeah, you've made yourself a few millies before this, so let's just roll it back a bit and go back to how you got started playing poker and stuff. What's the origin story?
So the origin story is I started playing in high school,
Mhm.
and I actually started playing on lunch breaks in the school cafeteria. It was just like the thing that I would do at lunch, and just like initially, what attracted me to poker was just the math aspect of it.
Mhm.
I was, I guess, a bit of a nerd in high school. Um, well, I guess I like still am.
We're all very
Uh,
much still nerds. Don't worry.
right. And so what was happening at the time is like I was writing math contests, and there would be like a lot of combinatorics questions, some of them obviously poker related. And then I saw like kids playing at lunch in the cafeteria, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I've done like the academic side of this. Maybe I can join and play. So there was also some money to be made at that time. $10 was a lot, so
Absolutely.
that was nice.
And then you discover that you have a real talent for it. And when do you decide to go full time? Where do you turn pro?
It was a pretty gradual progression. Like I started playing more and more online, but then I went to university, and first like year one, year two, even year three, especially like my parents, like almost everyone's parents were like, yeah, you're not going to be a professional poker player. Like, go to school, do the normal thing. So, it was kind of like a bit of a balancing act. And by the end of university, that's when I kind of shifted to pretty much full-time play.
Fantastic. So if you had to describe yourself in just 3 words, what would they be?
In three, so like in one sentence or like three different words?
What says in front of me is 3 words, so I'm gonna go with verbatim.
Three words. I'd say energetic, and then driven and thoughtful.
Lovely. All key qualities of a poker player. I like it. Um, so then now you've got that, got yourself that bracelet. What does that mean to you? A World Series bracelet.
Well, like I said, it was really unexpected, so it just feels great to have gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
I generally don't set results oriented goals in poker. But if you think about it, pretty much every big name or recognizable player
Mm-hmm.
has a bracelet. So it really feels good to join that group for sure.
I like the way you put that actually, because I've talked to a bunch of poker players, and yeah, it's correct. We shouldn't be results focused, but if you look at it like a little badge of honor instead now,
Right.
which I really like. Um, but now you've been through the paces and stuff. What's like got any advice that you'd like to give to like aspiring poker players? Maybe something that you learned along the way, pitfalls to avoid.
I would say the biggest thing would be not to do it alone. Um, like I think it's virtually impossible to just move up stakes and get better and reach a high level if you're doing it all by yourself.
Mhm.
Starting from like I've always had peers that I've exchanged thoughts with, and there's just no way that you can get better without working with people that are around your level. Ideally, like with anything else, they're going to be a little bit better so that
Mhm.
you can get better as well. But poker, especially in 2020, is extremely competitive, and like if you're not constantly discussing hands and throwing ideas back and forth with peers, you're just going to fall behind.
Mhm. But that's one of the nice things about the game in general for me personally. That knowledge sharing is not something that people hoard necessarily. They're quite happy to tell you how it's done, how they beat you, in fact, or how they could beat you in the long run, etc. Which is nice.
For sure, yeah, it's an interesting balance because every one of your peers you're probably going to end up playing against.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there's this mutual collective understanding that some things must be shared.
Yep.
Otherwise, otherwise no one gets better. So it is a balancing act. But for me personally, what's worked best was to always share maybe slightly more than maybe I should or I thought I should. And I've found that generally speaking, I've gotten the same in return.
Hmm.
And I think I've also just been really fortunate with the peers that I found in poker.
Totally agree to the overshare, especially with your coaches and stuff. I totally think it's a definite thing to do. Sometimes you might be focused on an issue yourself, and then you bring it up with your coach, and like you say, if you overshare, they might find something else, a new leak, a new strategy, or something.
Mhm,
Completely agree.
for sure.
Um, when you're in the midst of these heavy tournaments, high rollers, World Series events, all of these, it's high pressure, it's high level. What techniques do you have to maybe calm yourself or stay focused during these heavy grinds?
So if it's a big final table or just a big live game or a big game that I know ahead of time will happen,
Mm-hmm.
I'll always meditate beforehand, and that really helps. Then once I'm actually playing and once I'm in the flow of things, normally I don't really need to do anything special to stay even keeled.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like if I'm having a session that's a super roller coaster sort of session, then I'll use techniques that are normally used in meditation to stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll focus on my breath or something else that's physical in the body. I'll remind myself to start again if my mind wanders or if I get those loopy thoughts that we all at times get.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do things like that. But I, I do also want to say that I think a little bit of adrenaline when you're playing and a little bit of emotional swings, like it's fine. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, especially, looking from the outside in when they're watching high rollers, especially, they have this perception that high stakes players are, always super zen or even just super robotic and don't feel any emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case at all.
I guess it depends on how much of they've sold. Sorry.
Right. But like everyone's human, right? So feeling emotions
Mm-hmm.
and getting rushes of adrenaline, that's normal. It's unavoidable. And it's neither good nor bad. It's just something that's going to happen. And the important thing is that those rushes of adrenaline or mood swings don't prevent you from making rational decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not like I wouldn't say that I'm looking to like numb myself from
Sure.
feeling anything when I'm playing.
No, yeah, I definitely like that. I'm not a big fan. No offense to all the robots out there, but I'm not a big. I think there's a lot to be learned from having your tilting moments. You learn about yourself. You learn about how you play under stress and stuff. So yeah, definitely
Sure.
agree there. Um, Live versus online, the classic discussion. Um, what are the major differences for you? Because you've had a lot of success in live poker and you've had a lot of success in online poker as well. So, do you have a preference to one or the other, or and what are the differences for you personally?
So I like playing a mix of both. I think it's slightly different skill sets, and playing a lot of live, I find I get better when I do play online, and playing a lot of online, I find I get better live because you're able to put in a lot of volume.
Mm-hmm.
So the obvious difference is obviously there's no physical tells when you're playing online. Like I feel like that's the obvious thing to say.
Yeah.
But talking about something aside from that, I think the biggest difference between live and online is that it's having sort of like a macro strategy versus a micro strategy. So, and that sort of feeds into when you're playing live, you have a lot more time to act.
Mm-hmm.
So live, very often, I'll play a hand kind of in a vacuum. Obviously, I'm only playing one table. I'm really focused on that hand, and I can really think about what the optimal play is. I can really think about what the best possible exploit is, if it exists. And like also when I'm playing live, I tend to play in pretty small player pools, so I'm always playing the same people. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of history and metagame and things like that I have to consider. And so, not to say that all of that stuff doesn't happen online, it does, but to a way lesser degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so, online, way less time to act. Usually, I'm playing multiple tables. So, generally, I'll tend to choose strategies that work well, kind of generally against the population that I'm playing, rather than against a specific player.
Mm-hmm.
Often online, like I don't even know who I'm playing against. Maybe I've seen the screen name before in a large field, maybe not. But live, I always know who I'm playing against. So it's sort of like a micro strategy. And
Mm-hmm.
then online, it's more about executing a general strategy that I think works well
Mm-hmm.
against kind of everyone mushed together.
Well, that's, I guess, the emergence of GTO has changed the game over the last 10, 15 years considerably. I've also seen a lot of new players have felt the need to somehow choose a camp for some reason. Either I'm exploitative or GTO. Could you maybe elaborate on why that's not the right way to go? Because some people are very opinionated about it, from what I've come across with emerging players.
So the biggest thing about that is fundamentally GTO play is exploitative play.
Mm-hmm.
A GTO solution is just the max exploit solution against a really good opponent. So I think it's kind of silly to look at them as completely separate. And being well versed in GTO poker is just going to allow you to exploit people even more. So I think it's kind of silly to choose like one camp or the other. You should be well versed in GTO play and also very willing to deviate when the situation calls for it.
Balance is key.
Right.
What is your biggest dream, sir, for poker? What is the biggest dream? It's gonna be a hard question for you because you've done quite a few of my dreams already. So
yeah, I don't have any specific poker dreams. I think what's important for me personally is longevity and consistency.
mm-hmm.
I guess not just for me personally, but for the industry as a whole. And as far as my dreams, I just kind of want to be better tomorrow than I am today, and a year from now,
Mm-hmm.
better than I am 6 months from now. So as long as I'm constantly progressing, I'm happy. And yeah, if I really have to answer what my dream is, my poker dream is that I'll still get to play in a reasonable capacity 10 years from now, and that
Mm-hmm.
like poker won't be dead, and that it'll still be a great game.
It's close to mine. Mine is very simply, don't go broke again. It's my dream. So you're with Team Bling now. How's that been coming on with Natural 8 on Team Bling?
Yeah, it's fun. I get the ring around my avatar.
Yeah, fantastic. And they've also added like a bunch of these cool features as well. From being a live guy as well, have you found anything that you've used with all the cool features? The not just the emojis, but the snap cams and all. Have you ever used that to your advantage in a strategy? Someone like emoting too much or something. It's just
I think that generally. So first, like I love the emojis. Like they're just my favorite. I don't know if I use them strategically.
Yeah.
Like mostly I'll use the emojis to like troll my opponents, especially like if I'm playing a hand against someone I know. It's fun to throw a bunch. I think occasionally people give some things away with emoji use during hands.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't usually happen at higher stakes, but it does happen. It's just sloppiness that people have. Same with timing tells, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like another thing that it's a feature that people like want to click and like throw emojis and stuff. But if it's during a hand, sometimes they give stuff away. So there's like a little bit of a strategic advantage there sometimes, but mostly I think they're just for fun.
Yeah, which is true. It's great. It's great to get that, to have that sort of balance and get casual players have that live element on the online and all. I'm a big fan of them as well.
I mean, I'm not even a casual player, and I'm a big fan of the emojis. Like I'm probably in like top 2 to 3% in emoji use on the network.
I love it. Do you still have friends, by the way, from when you were young? And like, what do they think of your lifestyle and stuff? And they've gone on their careers, and you've gone on yours. Like, what do your friends think about what you do?
Yeah, like one of my best friends is a person that I knew from like middle school or like almost elementary school. So yeah, I still have friends from when I was younger. For the most part, they found like their own success, their own careers, and they work normal jobs. But I honestly also think that our lives are not that different. And so
I think we
unfortunately,
have longer hours, to be honest.
well, we have longer like actual hours, right?
Yep.
Uh, like that's the thing of like people that work like the 9 to 5, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm at like work 8 hours a day, but then like you get a lunch break,
You
you
can't.
like have coffee with your friend, you like go chat with someone, not really doing anything. But if you're playing an 8 hour session,
Mhm.
you're fully focused for the entire 8 hours. And I think so I think like that's one thing that um that like people working normal jobs don't always get about
Mhm.
poker players, that it's a lot more intense, and I think it's more comparable to like accountants during tax season or something,
Yeah.
where they're just like working 12 hours a day nonstop. It's closer to that than just like a
Well,
job where
they
you could
get
take a
lunch
bunch of
and dinner
breaks.
breaks. Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say we're all masters of the 5 minute meal over here. You know?
Yeah, and like we're always like eating while we're playing.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like outside of that, I'd say at least the values that people that I'm still close with have, and yeah, values and life approaches, I would say they're not that different.
Mhm.
So, uh, being a poker player makes me an obvious outlier when it comes to uh, like socializing with people with regular jobs.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I don't think that my childhood friends think my life is completely insane or anything like that.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of insane, though, what is the craziest thing you've done on a poker table? This can be by your
Craziest thing.
this can be by your definition of crazy, not clinically.
Um, I don't know. I take pretty calculated risks, so I don't know if I've done anything particularly insane at a poker table. Like I don't think I've at least I can't recall a moment where I like completely like spazzed out, like verbally or physically at a poker table. Um, I've certainly played my fair share of speculative hands,
Hmm.
uh, but uh, but I always had rational reasons for making plays. So yeah, I don't think I've done anything like too insane.
Fair enough. Besides poker, though, do you have any other hidden talents besides a fantastic ability with the cards?
I'm a really good fisherman. Uh,
That's a good
like
one.
real, yeah. In real life, not at. I mean, sometimes at the poker table, but I'm relatively good at shooting a bow.
Hmm.
Most of my hidden talents would be stuff where I'm related to like survival and self-sufficiency in an outdoors environment.
Hmm.
So like if there's like an apocalypse, I'm your guy.
All right, fantastic. That's and you got Canada as well as a place to call home. You can get all sorts of outdoors out here. That's a really lovely thing to have as a
Yeah,
hobby.
it's really one of the things that I love about Canada. There's just so much space, and like I can't really imagine living in a small country where there's like nowhere to go away from everyone.
Yeah.
Like I definitely need those breaks.
Hearts go out to all the people who have been stuck in their rooms for the last 6 months. But
Yeah,
if you had to be stuck in a room with a poker player for a week, who would it be and why?
Tim Adams. We've just been close friends for a long time.
Mhm.
We've also like pretty much done that at poker stops anyway. Like um, we've like shared hotel rooms and stuff. So uh, yeah, I mean I don't think it's particularly fun to be stuck with anyone in a room for a week. Like it's not even fun by yourself. But yeah, I'd have to say Tim Adams.
Fair enough, fair enough. And another fun question for you. Um, if there was a book about your life, what would it be called? About your life so far, what would it be called? Book title.
Book title about my life. Jeez.
Yeah. It's the hard hitting
I don't
journalism
know.
coming at you
I
right
feel
now.
like I feel like it's too early. Like people don't write, like I'm in my early 30s. So you can't write a book about someone in their early 30s, you know? Uh, so I guess the book title would have to be something like "To Be Determined" or
My
"To Be
man.
Continued" or something like that. Uh, yeah, I feel like people don't really have books written about them at a young age.
Amazing. Well, plenty of stories to write, plenty of stuff to do. Is it just Texas for you, or do you dabble in the PLO as well?
I dabble in PLO, but very, very infrequently. And I play a fair bit of short deck.
Mm-hmm. What is it about short deck that interests you most? Hugely popular format that's been coming up
So,
rapidly.
right. So, like, I started learning short deck mostly because I saw that there was a lot of action at high stakes short deck
Mm-hmm.
games. So, it just kind of seemed like that's where a lot of the higher stakes games were moving. So, it
Mm-hmm.
just felt smart to learn that game. And I also just genuinely think it's a great game, especially playing live.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm comparing how involved I am playing a short deck tournament versus a no limit tournament, for example, I'm so much more involved when I'm playing short deck because the blind structure and the anti structure is just such that you are playing a lot of hands from every position, and a lot of pots are limped pots that are like 4 ways or 5 ways. So there's two things about that. First of all, you pretty much always have cards in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and there's always a decision to be made. Whereas with a no limit tournament, especially if it's full ring, in a bunch of spots, you're just folding 80% of hands, and then nothing happens to the next 2 minutes
Yeah.
while other people play a hand. So that doesn't really happen with short decks. So that's really nice about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing about it is because there are so many multi-way pots, I think that it's a better game in terms of potential longevity because it's a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit harder to solve just because there are so many different permutations of ways you could get post flop.
That makes total sense. So, at the high stakes in the high stakes world which you exist in now, how did you transition to that? Was that a product of your bankroll that you can now afford it, or did you want to achieve the ability to play at those stakes because you like the kind of game that goes there?
So what happened was traveling. I started traveling like the European Poker Tour.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been maybe 2013 or 2014. And prior to that, I was playing like all sorts of no limit variants, but I was constantly kind of responsibly moving up because,
Mm-hmm.
like, obviously, I just wanted to play higher stakes, potentially make more money. And as I started traveling the live circuit, I just became friends with people that were playing these higher stakes tournaments that I had played with online,
Mm-hmm.
and I was basically told like, "Hey, you should be playing these high rollers," and I was like, "Yeah, maybe I should." So gradually, I transitioned to those.
Amazing. Where we come right from playing $10 to suddenly putting down 250K for a single event.
Yeah.
What was that like the first time? Did you? I don't know if you don't mind me asking. Did you put it all down yourself, or did you sell a bit, or what was? If you did
No,
put it down yourself, did what was that like?
no, for 250K, you gotta sell a bit. Like I think there's like, I don't know. I think there's like 3 people that regularly play them that like don't have, maybe more than 3, maybe like half a dozen people that regularly play them that don't have to sell any.
Mhm.
But you should generally have something like 100 buy-ins to play a poker tournament, and
250K. It's a stretch.
yeah, so I definitely don't have 25 million,
Mhm.
so yeah, definitely not putting all that down myself.
Well, you are well on your way, though. To be fair, so that's a good thing. Maybe you'll be the fourth person.
Yeah, work in progress.
Work in progress,
Maybe
just like the
like
book.
maybe that should be my poker dream,
Yeah.
right? To like 10 years from now, just be like, yeah, 250.
I mean,
Let's
honestly,
go.
that's the most sensible and realistic answer I've heard from someone rather than, no, I'm too serious for this question. Yeah. I like that. I do like that. All right, can you tell us a bit more about like your experience on Natural 8 and playing there, and you know the stuff you like about it, and a little bit about why the viewers should also check out the games on Natural 8.
So first, I think the player experience is really good. The emojis are amazing, like I've already said. I also think the graphics are just kind of like they're just fine tuned to making it a really fun and enjoyable online player
Mm-hmm.
playing experience, especially for the recreational player. But I also think for regulars as well. You know, a lot of the graphics and the features are just kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the biggest thing would just be the prize pools. So obviously the WSOP online series was huge, and that's kind of I mean that's the WSOP. But even if you ignore that, there's massive guarantees in weekly tournaments that are way bigger than any other network.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, if you're looking for big field MTTs at pretty much whatever stakes, you know, it's the place to be.
The value is there. Amazing.
Right.
Amazing, amazing. Mate, it's been wonderful talking to you. We're running just slightly over time. Absolute pleasure speaking to you. What is your plan for the rest of the year, whatever we have left of it?
Uh, I'm not sure. I think my plan for the next week and a half is to take it easy. There's like a little bit of a like thankfully there's a little bit of a lull
Mm-hmm.
in the online poker schedule, and I think I really needed it because it's just been kind of nonstop this entire year.
Mm-hmm.
So I need a little bit of a breather, and I would assume that in a couple of weeks I get back to the grind and sort of intermittently try to get outdoors and do a lot of camping and fishing and stuff like that.
Wonderful, mate. Well, on your journeys, I wish you the best of luck, and all of the poker stuff that we've mentioned has been great for the viewers. I hope that you guys watching, of course, pick something up from this guy. He's been at it for a while. He's not even finished his book. We've just confirmed that today. We're only on chapter 1. So do look out for Daniel and all his exploits in the book in progress. Daniel, mate, thank you so much for talking to us today. Hope you're staying safe. And any last few words to the viewers, or shout outs to your followers?
Yeah, just I mean, thanks for having me. Obviously, it was a lot of fun. In terms of words to my viewers, if you're interested in my outdoor adventures, follow me on Instagram. If you are interested in me posting something semi-thoughtful once or twice a year, follow me on Twitter. They're both at Dvoress.
Amazing. Right then, thank you everyone for joining on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you, Daniel, for being with us today. We'll call it a wrap on the stream there. Take care, everyone. Have a very good evening or morning wherever you are.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.